time? Oh, wonderful. Welcome. Thank you for coming. So we do this activity once a month on a Sunday. And Venerable Thubten Chodron, the abbess of the monastery, the Abbey rather, will come at 11 o'clock and read from a book that she wrote called Working with Anger, and talk about it, and probably make you laugh. She likes to joke, so make it all very funny. So this first session will be a meditation led by myself, and so the meditation will have a few different parts to it. First, we'll do some prayers, Buddhist prayers, to set our motivation, our state of mind, and then we'll have a period of about 10 or 15 minutes of silence to do meditation on the breath, or if you have another practice you wish to do, you can do that. I'll give a little bit of instructions on meditation on the breath for anyone who might be new to it. And then we'll, for the last 15 minutes or so, we'll do a guided analytical meditation, or I could also call it contemplation, to contemplate certain points. And since we're looking at the topic of anger in these Sharing the Dharma days, and last month, the section of the book that Venerable Chodron read from was about the disadvantages of anger. So I thought to lead a meditation on that, to just look at anger and its effects on us, our body, our mind, other people around us, and so on. And then we'll have a 15-minute break before Venerable Chodron comes. Okay, so we're going to have prayers on the screen, or, okay, there they are. So again, if you wish to follow the prayers, you can. Otherwise, you can just do your own sort of reflection.
I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create, by listening to the Dharma, I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create, by listening to the Dharma, I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create, by listening to the Dharma, I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness as its causes. May all sentient beings be free of suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings not be separated from sorrowless bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment, and anger. Tayata o mune mune maha mune soha. Tayata o mune mune maha mune soha. Tayata o mune mune maha mune soha. Tayata o mune mune maha
Just as we recited the prayer of the four immeasurable thoughts a few minutes ago, where we express the wish for all beings to be happy and to be free from suffering and to experience pure joy and equanimity. Let's see if we can bring those thoughts into our mind as our reason for being here, our motivation for being here and participating in this meditation and then the other activities during the day. So see if you can really feel that you would like to help as much as possible to bring peace and happiness, well-being, and freedom from suffering to as many other people and beings as possible, and that you would like to learn things here that will help you to do that. So, so then before getting into the meditation on the breathing, it's helpful to do some relaxation to make sure that we're as relaxed as possible. That helps to have a better meditation. So I'll just take you through a guided relaxation, going through the body from the top of your head down to your toes and fingertips. And so, as I mentioned, different parts of your body, do your best to put your awareness, your attention at that part of your body and relax in case there's any tension. Let go of it, let that area relax. And if there is tension, sometimes it's enough just to say to yourself, relax or let go. Another helpful method is to imagine that you're breathing in to that part of your body. As you're inhaling, the air is going to that place in your body where there's tension, and the air loosens or releases the tension. So just do the best you can to let go of tension and have a more relaxed situation in your body. So first of all, feel the top of your head and relax any tension you may have there. And then let your awareness move down into your forehead. Relax your forehead. Let go of any worry lines that there may be. Just let your forehead be smooth, relaxed. Then feel your eyes and relax the muscles around your eyes and behind your eyes. And then relax the rest of your face. We have lots of muscles in our face we use when we make expressions. So you can let those muscles relax while we're sitting here. But it's nice to still keep a bit of a smile on your mouth. It helps the mind be more positive and relaxed. And then feel the right side of your head. Relax any tension you may have there. And do the same with the back of your head. And then the left side of your head. And then go inside of your head. Relax any tension you may have inside in your brain, your skull. Let the whole of your head, both inside as well as outside, be as relaxed as possible. And then feel your neck. Relax the back of your neck, the front and inside of your neck. Then let your awareness move down into your shoulders and upper back. Any knots of tension you may have there, let them be released. You can breathe into that area, releasing any tightness, tension. And then let your awareness continue traveling down your back, relaxing the middle part of your back. And then the lower part of the back. So going all the way down to your seat. And let your back be as relaxed and free of tension as possible. Next, move your awareness to your chest and start going down the front of your body. So relax your chest, your lungs, your heart. Then relax the middle part of your torso, your stomach, intestines, so all the organs involved in the digestive system. Any tension there, let it go, let it disappear, flow away. Now go, let your awareness go all the way down to your pelvic area, relaxing all the internal organs and muscles. And then relax your right leg, first the upper part of the leg. And then the lower part of the leg. And then your right foot, all the way down to the toes. Then move your awareness to the upper part of the left leg. Relax that area. And then the lower part of the left leg. And then your left foot. Then bring your awareness to the upper part of your right arm. Relax that area. And then the lower part of the arm. And then your right hand and fingers. And then do the same with the left arm, starting with the top of the arm. Relax that area. And then the lower part of the left arm. And your left hand and fingers. So now put your awareness on your breathing and breathe in a natural way, not in any artificial, controlled way. Just allow your body to breathe. And then with your mind, your awareness, pay attention to the breath as it's coming in and going out. So you can observe the breath at whatever place in your body you can feel it most easily. Your abdomen, your chest, your nostrils. So you can choose where to focus on the breathing. But do your best to stay with the breath, with each inhalation and each exhalation of the breath. And you might want to count. That helps keep your mind focused on the breath. So you count each full breath, inhalation and exhalation, as one. And if you're new to meditation, just count up to 5 and then go back to 1. If you have more experience, you can count up to 10 and then go back to 1. So counting is optional. It's just an aid to stay focused on the breath. But the important thing is to notice what your mind is doing. And if your mind wanders away to something else, like a thought, a memory, what you're going to do later today, or a sound, anything other than the breath, as soon as you notice your mind has gone away from the breath, just gently bring it back. Let go of that other object and return your awareness to your breathing. So now we'll switch to the analytical or contemplation part of the meditation. So see if you can bring to mind a situation, preferably something recent, so it's still fresh in your mind. A situation where you felt angry or annoyed or upset at another person. So see if you can remember how you felt at that time in your body and in your mind. Did you feel the same as or different from the way you feel at other times, like when you're more calm and when you're happy? So does anger affect the way you feel in your body and your mind? And then see if you can remember what was going on in your mind at that time. What was your mind saying about the other person, about the situation? So do you think that you were seeing the other person accurately in a realistic way? Or was your mind exaggerating things, projecting things, making up stories that weren't true, or maybe partly true, but partly not true? And check how the anger affected your behavior, like what you did with your body, what you said, and how you said your words. And maybe you didn't show the anger on the outside, but kept it inside. If so, how did the anger affect your state of mind at that moment and also afterwards? What was going on in your mind? And then how do you think the anger or frustration you felt inside affected other people who were around you at that time or maybe later? So now, based on what you saw and understood during this meditation, come to a conclusion, your own conclusion, about how you'd like to be going forward. You want to continue feeling angry and maybe expressing your anger? Or would you like to find other ways of dealing with challenging people and challenging situations other than just being angry and frustrated? And it is possible to do that. Although we usually can't control anger coming up in our mind, it just comes up without choice or control. But we do have choices about what we do when it arises in our mind. We can act it out, completely go with it, or we can do something else to transform our mind and transform the situation into something more constructive. Just think about what you would like to do about that. So now let's conclude this meditation with a dedication. You can just do that mentally. Whatever benefit there has been, whatever good energy we've experienced, maybe some insights, some positive conclusions. So may this positive energy be shared with as many other people and beings as possible. May it help us going forward, and may the benefit reach many other people and beings as well.
Thank you, Venerable. Everyone, please rise. So now we have a 15-minute break. So for those here, feel free to enjoy the deck if it's not too hot already. Downstairs, we have a Dharma Books and Things room. So that has books by Venerable Khadro, Venerable Chodron, as well as malas and all sorts of other things. So all of those are by offering. So feel free to peruse down there. Restrooms, men's restrooms, through the curtain, first door on your left in the back of the room. There's a single restroom for anyone up here, and then there's a women's restroom downstairs. So see you back here. Try to get here a couple minutes before the teaching to prepare our minds to invite Venerable Chodron. Thank you.
Padme Hum, Om Mani 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 Padme Hum.
Okay, so welcome everybody. We will pick up in the book Working with Anger. They did a new cover for this one. I like it. Yeah, I like the first cover for when they first printed it in Singapore with just a volcano. Yeah. The second one, they did half a page volcano, half a page of face, but I like the volcano because that expresses anger very well. Good image, huh? Okay, so we're starting on chapter 3. Yeah, first, before we start today, we'll just, although you just finished doing some meditation, well, no hurt to do a few minutes more. So a few minutes to calm our mind and then generate our motivation, then we'll have the talk. Okay, so come back to your breath just for a minute, let the mind settle. So we sometimes think that anger is our friend. It helps us stick up for ourselves and make sure nobody takes advantage of us. But can we stick up for ourselves and protect ourselves without being angry? That's the question. Because anger creates many problems in our relationships, just here and now in this life. And if we are striving for full awakening, then anger is really antithetical to that. We never heard of an angry Buddha. And when we have anger in our mind, we can't have compassion in our mind. And without compassion, there's no aspiration to attain full awakening. Because that's something that we look for, the method to attain that, because we care about other living beings. And so for that, compassion is for each and every sentient being equally is necessary. So try and take a minute and think about the benefits of compassion, aspire to develop it, and then imagine having it towards all living beings such that you aspire for full awakening to be of the greatest benefit to them. So having equal compassion towards everybody means doing something about the categories of friend, enemy, and stranger that divide people into groups in accordance with how much they please us and like us. The friends like us, please us, praise us, give us presents. The enemies do the opposite, and they criticize us, always unfairly, because we never do anything wrong, do we? And then the strangers don't influence us one way or another, so we kind of ignore them. Yeah. But here in spiritual practice, unlike regular life, we are looking at living beings in a different way and seeing that first and foremost, everybody equally wants happiness. Everybody equally wants to be free of suffering. Yeah? And so in that respect, we can't differentiate people. Yeah? And then we also see that just categorizing people in terms of how they relate to us is really rather narrow, isn't it? Yeah. It makes us the prime discerner of who is good and who is bad. Yeah. And the criteria is how they relate to me, center of the universe. So we begin to see that that way of judging others, evaluating others is really filled with a lot of problems. Okay, so this is the framework within which we're now talking about compassion. And for compassion to develop, we have to do something with our rage and our anger and our frustration and our belligerence and our spite and our grudge holding. It's amazing how many English words we have for this kind of thing. Yeah. So here the title of the chapter is Patience, the Alternative. So when I first wrote the book, I was using kind of the standard translation for kshiti, the Sanskrit word, or kanti, the Pali word, and which was often patience. But the more I really got into thinking about, what anger was and what this antidote was, I really felt uncomfortable with the term patience. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, when I wanted something quickly as a kid, I was told, be patient. Yeah. So be patient meant wait. Yeah. So when the antidote to anger is waiting, that doesn't make any sense. Okay. So then I started thinking, really, what are we talking about here? And what I concluded is that we're developing some kind of inner strength to be able to endure criticism and insult, inner strength to be able to endure physical pain, and also inner strength in practicing the Dharma. And so those three are, when they categorize this, it has those three, regarding insult and so on, criticism, regarding suffering, and regarding practicing the Dharma, learning the Dharma. Yeah. So being patient doesn't really, and waiting around, that doesn't go with the next far-reaching attitude, which is diligence, which is don't waste your time laying around. So, I thought, well, what actually are we talking about? Some kind of inner strength. And I thought fortitude, for me, encapsulates that. Yeah. So it's some kind of, inner strength, some kind of self-confidence, so that suffering, discomfort, ridicule, teasing, sarcasm, all these things don't bug me and don't throw me into a fit of, wanting to take revenge. Okay, so fortitude. Okay. So we'll have to tell them next time they publish the book, change it. Okay, so because anger and other destructive emotions are not the nature of our mind and heart, they can be diminished and eventually removed completely from our mind stream through the development of fortitude. Well, do you believe that? Yeah, that your anger can be eliminated completely, so that no matter what somebody says or does to you, you don't flip out? That seems pretty far-fetched, huh? But from the Buddhist perspective, because anger is based, and anger, when I say anger, I mean all those things of, ranging from irritation to rage. Anger is based on emphasizing or projecting negative qualities of someone or something. So it's already based on misapprehension. It's already based on not cognizing the object correctly. Okay. So when we see it that way, yes, if we can cognize things more correctly, then the anger and so on will diminish and vanish. Okay, so many of the people we admire, the Buddha, Jesus, Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, and others, had the ability to remain internally undisturbed in the face of harm and externally act for the benefit of others. Recently, there was an anniversary of John Lewis's death. And when I read about his life, oh my goodness, he really embodied that. Crossing the Selma Bridge when they were getting attacked by dogs and police and water hoses, and still doing it, not backing away, but not, saying, oh, those days, not exploding in anger, having compassion. Woo. So there, are examples. He's no longer alive, but of people who lived in our lifetime who can do that. And His Holiness Dalai Lama is another example too. Yeah, there was one, I remember watching one time years ago, some journalist was interviewing him in, I think, LA, and said, oh, Dalai Lama, your country has been invaded and overcome by the Chinese communists. There's, genocide, there's environmental destruction. You are a refugee and you can't even go back to your own homeland. Why aren't you angry at the Chinese communists? The journalist asked His Holiness. And His Holiness sat back and said, if I was angry, then I couldn't eat my food well, I couldn't sleep well, I wouldn't be very easy to get along with. And so I don't see any benefit for the cause of Tibet or for my personal health in being angry. And this journalist was like, what? Because the journalist thought that she was giving him the opening to lash out and criticize the Chinese government and, say, oh, they've done this awful thing, and yeah. She gave him that window and he didn't, he didn't want it. I wonder what happened to that journalist. Okay. So these people, have the ability to remain internally undisturbed in the face of harm and externally act for the benefit of others. So their anger was neither expressed nor suppressed. Yeah, we often feel or think that when we're angry, it needs to be expressed because the only other thing is push it down, shove it down, pretend it's not there, or know it's there, but like this and run away, because you're afraid of, exploding on everybody. That's our usual viewpoint, but there's another alternative. Okay, so it doesn't have to be expressed, it doesn't have to be suppressed. Yeah, and so what the Buddha's teaching is how to look at it from a different perspective, because when we see it from a different perspective, then we don't get angry to start with. Okay? So their anger was neither expressed nor suppressed. It was simply absent, having been transformed into tolerance and compassion. Thus, an alternative exists to either expressing or suppressing anger. When we express our anger, our words and deeds can easily hurt others. Yeah. But when we're expressing our anger, we don't care. They deserve it. And maybe by hurting their feelings, they'll repent and change their ways. Just like we do when other people get mad at us. Yeah, do you change your ways and feel sorry when other people get mad at you for something you did? No! Yeah, but we expect other people to. Okay, in addition, expressing anger does not rid ourselves of it. I remember when I was in college, there was the big push then to, when you're angry, go out in the middle of a field and scream. That was the way to deal with your anger. Of course, I went to school in the middle of Los Angeles. There weren't many places to go out in the middle of a field and scream unless you went to the football stadium and screamed. I already told you what happened there. Yeah, I went to USC my first 2 years. OJ was the running back. What? Running back? Yeah. And what did the crowd yell? Kill! Kill! You see what happens when seeds are planted in the mind. Oh. Anyway. Oh, and the other thing, yeah, so to rid yourself of anger was to go out and scream in the middle of the hill. Or we had these not encounter groups, but groups to express your repressed emotions. Yeah, I don't know if anybody, did you go to them? So I remember going and expressing the anger at my parents, and everybody takes a turn doing this. So everybody's watching me, and I'm like crying and sobbing because my parents don't understand me, and taking a pillow and beating another pillow with my pillow and crying more. And that was supposed to cure my anger. It didn't. It only got the pillow wet. And it didn't do any good. So, you express it, that doesn't free you of it. You push it down, that doesn't free you of it. Yeah. And the point is, when we're angry, we're not very happy, are we? Yeah. So who wants to stay angry? Okay. So in addition, expressing anger does not rid ourselves of it. On the contrary, each time we express hostility, even if it is by beating a pillow or screaming in an empty field, you can tell how old I am by the examples I give. Yeah. What are you supposed to do now? Take a pill? If you're angry, it means you have some mental illness and you should be on meds? I don't know. What did they tell you now? Oh, eat? Oh. When you're angry, eat. I see. Is that why everybody's so overweight these days? Okay. So even if we express hostility, we strengthen the habit of feeling and acting out its violent energy. What happens if one day no pillow is around to beat and no field nearby in which to scream, and we are surrounded only by human beings? Okay. On the other hand, suppressing anger doesn't eliminate it either. It may still erupt, sometimes when we are least prepared to handle it. Also, suppressing anger may damage us physically or mentally. Yeah, because you push it down and then, your gut is tight and your muscles are tight, and that's not healthy. Yeah. Okay, expressing anger is one extreme, and suppressing it is another. In both cases, the habit of anger remains in one form or another. Okay, now I don't know if in this book I talked about this, but I've thought about it. What about if we're angry and we're afraid of our anger? Yeah, anybody afraid of their anger? Like, if I'm angry, what in the world am I gonna do? And then I will do something I regret. Yeah, so you feel afraid of your anger, but so you don't want to express it. So then what do? Yeah. What do you do? What? Stuff it. What else? Internalize it. Yeah.
Write you a 10-page letter.
Yeah, you write your teacher 10-page letters. Yeah, you take out a box of tissue. Okay. Or you just vanish and you leave the situation. Nobody knows where you're going or why you left. And you shut down, and you shut down because you're afraid of your anger. You don't want it to dump it on somebody else. So that part of not wanting to dump it is certainly good. But the, splitting and stuffing it, that doesn't really deal with it, does it? Yeah. Okay. So that's why read this book and apply the methods. Yeah. And the methods are from the Buddha and Shantideva, not from me. Okay. So fortitude is an alternative. It is the ability to remain internally calm and undisturbed in the face of harm or difficulties. The Sanskrit word kshanti has no suitable equivalent in English. Here we use patience. Wrong! Here we use fortitude. But kshanti also includes tolerance, internal calm, and endurance. Yeah. But internal strength. Yeah. Thus, fortitude as it is used here includes all these qualities. Fortitude does not involve pasting a plastic smile on our face while hatred simmers inside. How often have we done that? And, some people are good at it. No, nothing's bothering me. Yeah, some people aren't so good at it. They try and smile, and anger comes out instead. Okay, so fortitude isn't, pretending you're not angry. Okay, it involves dissolving the anger energy so that it is no longer there. Then, with a clear mind, we can evaluate various alternatives and decide what to say or do to remedy a situation. In speaking of both fortitude and anger, we must differentiate mental attitudes from external actions. Okay, this is important. Fortitude may manifest in various behaviors. It gives us the mental space to choose appropriate behavior for a situation. So sometimes, with fortitude, we may speak strongly to others because that is the most effective way to communicate with them at that moment. In other words, the example I like to give is you have a 3-year-old who runs in the middle of the street, and you run after your kid and pick them up, and you don't go, "Oh, dear Johnny, don't run out in the middle of the street. Come home and have a lollipop." Johnny is not going to get that it's dangerous. If you pick the child up and you take him and look and say, "That is dangerous. Do not run in the middle of the street again," the kid will listen. Okay, but you can do that without being angry. Okay, so fortitude inside can manifest as strong speech or strong action sometimes. Sometimes you're in situations where you do have to physically act. I was once in, that's another story. We'll forget it. Okay. Okay, so sometimes we may speak strongly to others because that is the most effective way to communicate with them at that moment. And then I gave here, for example, if a child is playing in the middle of the street and her father gently says, "Susie, dear, don't play in the street," she will likely ignore him. On the other hand, if he speaks forcefully, she will more likely remember and obey. But internally, Dad's mind can be calm and compassionate when doing this. The child will sense the difference between the words said when Dad is centered and the same words said when he is upset. So, of course, when somebody's reprimanding us, we aren't always sensitive to that. But if you pause, you can tell when somebody's saying it because they care, or when somebody is saying it because, you're wrong and I want you to change. Okay. In other situations, an attitude with fortitude may manifest as calm behavior. Rather than retort to a passerby's taunt, Bob chooses not to respond. He does this based not on weakness or fear, but on the wise decision not to feed a potentially hostile situation. So in the prison work I do, one of the things that the guys, a situation they come in contact with a lot, is in chow line. You're waiting to get your food for lunch. And somebody else cuts in front of you, and behind them are their friends, okay? And it's meant to intimidate, cut in front of them, If you just are say, "Oh, yeah, go," it indicates you're weak. But you know that he and the friends standing behind him are going to jump on you later on because you're weak, okay? But if they cut in front of you in the char line, you turn around and you punch them, you're going to wind up in the hole, okay? Solitary confinement. So neither of those are very good, So the guys always say to me, "What do I do?" Better that I stand up. And, what I suggest to them is inside, you maintain your dignity. Yeah, so you are not, you're not intimidated, but you're not angry too. But you have your own dignity. And so you turn to the people who want to cut in front and you say, yes, go ahead, be my guest. If you say it like that, that's very different than, oh yeah, please, it's okay. Okay, so you let them go in front, which is what they said they wanted. They actually wanted to start a fight, but they said they wanted to go in front. So you let them, but you're not, terrified and almost falling on the floor. Yeah. You portray yourself as, yes, I know what I'm doing, and I'm okay going later. You can go first. Yeah. Another thing, though, that's a prison situation. But another thing that I've learned is, especially if somebody is attacking me in a way, that has a little bit of truth, instead of getting defensive and or getting mad at them, to say, you're right. So one time, my mom was mad at me about some small thing. And, why didn't you do this and this and this and this? You should have done it. And I said, oh, Mom, sorry, it looks like you have a really dumb daughter. That stopped it, That stopped it. What did she say? What could she say? I said, yeah, you have a really dumb daughter. What do you do? Another time, when I was an adult and she told me what to wear, I said, okay. Unlike when I was 16, and she told me what to wear, I would have went, yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay, similarly, anger may manifest in different behaviors. When Gary is angry, he explodes. He shouts, curses, and at times even has been known to throw something. Karen, however, withdraws. She goes into her room, closes the door, and refuses to talk. Do you do that? Not you anymore. Right, baby. She may sulk for days. Who sulks for days? Yeah. These two people are both angry, but they manifest it in totally different ways. One is aggressive, the other is passive. Yeah, both of them are miserable. And both of them, there can't be any communication with other people in the situation. Okay, the advantages of fortitude. A common misconception in the West is that fortitude equals passivity. However, when we correctly understand the meaning of fortitude, noting that it is an internal attitude, not an external behavior, we see that this is incorrect. Doesn't mean passivity. It means that we haven't stuffed it, we haven't expressed it, but we've looked at the situation in another way, let it go, okay? So rather, calmness in the face of harm gives us the space to evaluate situations clearly and thus to make wise decisions. This is one of the foremost advantages of patience, is that we can respond properly or in a helpful manner to the situation. Could you imagine if John Lewis, when crossing the Selma Bridge, had gotten angry and started yelling and screaming, and the whole crowd around him. And he said, "Charge those cops, let's trample them, take out your guns, you hope you brought them." What would have happened? Would that have resulted in civil rights legislation? Mm-mm. Yeah. Okay. Another advantage of fortitude is that it benefits our health by leaving our mind free of turbulence and pain in our body, our mind free of turbulence and pain, and our body free from tension. Many studies show that calm people heal more quickly after surgery and are less likely to have accidents. Rhonda, upset by a conflict with a neighbor, was hammering together a new cabinet with ferocity. You ever done something like that? I remember vacuuming when angry, you know. Yeah. And in the middle, I said, "Cool it, children, you're going to get hurt." Yeah. Okay. So she was hammering together a new cabinet with ferocity. Suddenly, she pulled herself up and thought, "If I continue like this, I'll certainly hurt myself." She breathed deeply, let her physical tension go, and resumed her carpentry with a different attitude. Fortitude also enables us to live free from the pain of grudges. This is a big one. Holding grudges is miserable. Yeah. So it frees us from the pain of grudges, resentment, and the wish for revenge. So there's somebody in our country who has a lot of power these days, who also has a lot of grudges and wish for revenge. Do you think that person's happy? Yeah. Is he doing things that benefit himself and the people who elected him? No, he's miserable. He's miserable. Yeah. Holding grudges. When we hold a grudge, we think that there's something so precious about our grudge, because somebody harmed me. How dare they? This requires justice. I want an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, and everybody's going to be blind and have no teeth. Yeah? Yeah, it does a lot of good, huh? And I really say this because I grew up in a family that modeled, one side of my family modeled how to hold grudges against other family members. Yeah. And I grew up as a kid saying, I don't get it. Yeah, because the family, something happened on the generation of my grandparents, so 2 generations above me, okay? But all the families somehow had one property for summer vacation. But I was told as a little kid, you don't talk to the people who live on the top floor of that building. Why not? They're our relatives. Why can't I talk to them and play with their kids? No, you don't talk or go there. Yeah. And, as I grew older, what I could figure out was something happened between my grandmother, and it must have been her sister, but it might have been one of her brothers. But as a result, everybody in the subsequent generations was not supposed to talk to each other. Yeah. At my family, when you had a big family celebration, like a wedding, drawing up a seating chart, was not pleasant, because this one doesn't talk to that one, who doesn't talk to this one, who doesn't talk to that one. And then this one, who you thought was friends with that one, you just found out they aren't speaking either. And this is what families with holding grudges, this is what they model for their kids. Yeah. So parents want their kids to get along, even after they grow up. But what do parents model? Criticizing their own brothers and sisters. Yeah. So, yeah, it's something to think about. And just, it is miserable. Okay, so because patience also enables us to live free from the pain of grudges, resentment, and the wish for revenge. Because we are then able to communicate better with others, our relationships are more harmonious and they last longer. Instead of their being ripped apart by anger, they are deepened by attentive listening and considerate speech. We thus amass fewer regrets, so our mind is at ease at the time of death. This is important. Accumulating positive karma, we know we are on the path to fortunate rebirth, liberation, and awakening. Yeah. So to tell you another family story, so there was some dispute at the level of my grandparents. At the time I was little, my parents' generation, they got along well. Then a few years passed, then they didn't get along so well. Okay, so my mom and my aunt stopped speaking to their brother, my uncle. I have no reason, I don't understand why. Maybe they were doing, my aunt and my uncle were sharing business together. I don't know the story, and the story doesn't even matter. But my uncle was older than my mom and my aunt, and he, when he was dying, his son called my brother, because on the level of my generation, everybody still talked to each other, and said, you might want to talk to your mom and see if she wants to talk to her brother because he's dying. And they called my aunt's son also and asked him. Anyway, neither of them wanted to talk to their brother, although he was dying. That just, what's the sense? What's the purpose of holding a grudge when somebody's dying? And if you don't want to hold it when they're dying, why hold on to your anger and resentment when they're still alive? It's so foolish. Yeah. So I thought, like when I was a kid, the conflict was here. Then it went down to my parents' generation. But I thought, my generation, that won't happen. Then I talked to some cousins, and this one doesn't speak to that brother, but she speaks to this brother, but the other sister doesn't speak to this one, and the boys don't speak to her. Again, craziness. And this is because this is what is modeled by the older generations. Yeah. So if you care about your kids, make up with your siblings. Yeah, so that you don't set that example for kids. Okay. Fortitude, in addition, directly affects the people and atmosphere around us by short-circuiting the dysfunctional ways in which people interact with each other. Following are 3 stories illustrating this. So I made sure to put lots of stories in here. The stories are all true. The names have been changed, and a few details. Okay, so before school, Ron's daughter arrived at the car frustrated because her hairband was tangled in her hair. Okay, instead of scolding her for doing her hair at the last minute and thus condemning them both to a bad day, Ron smiled and helped her pull out the band. But sometimes you're a parent, just, kid, get in the car, you're late for school, I don't care, your hairband, is tangled up, you should have been more careful. Yeah, that takes just as much time as to help pull the hairband out. Okay, air rage, screaming at an airline employee over delayed or canceled flights is common in our society. Who has done this? Maybe not scream, but pushed. Yeah. Okay. Or watched other people scream. We vent our animosity on strangers not responsible for our misery and powerless to do anything about it. All they can do is check what flights are available. Because I travel to teach in various places, I am well accustomed to hassles due to weather, mechanical difficulties, or overbooking. On an especially long trip from the West Coast to the Middle East, one flight after another was beset with problems. Knowing I could do nothing about it, I relaxed and smiled at the people around me. Yeah. Later, a fellow passenger who I did not know came over and said, "Watching how you handled this helped me calm down and I feel better. Thank you." A number of prisoners with whom I correspond are turning around their lives through learning the Buddhist teachings. One of them told me the following story. Yesterday, I was heating up a cup of coffee and noticed off to the side a guy who frequently acts a little crazy. He mumbled as I walked past with my coffee. So thinking he might have been speaking to me, I stopped and calmly asked what he had said. "I'm talking to myself," the guy responded. So I started to walk away. But before I had taken 2 steps, he screamed, "What? Can't I talk to myself?" I really dislike confrontations, but remaining calm, I said, "I asked only because I thought you might be talking to me. I never said you couldn't talk to yourself." He was excited by now and sternly faced me and said, "You're nobody. You shouldn't get to steppin'. You should get to steppin'." I agreed that I was nobody special, smiled, and walked away. Yeah. In prison, when somebody confronts you like that, it could easily turn into a big fight. Yeah. And you get injured or you get sent to the hole or whatever. So he was, here he continues. He says, "I wasn't mad at him, although I was prepared to defend myself if necessary. I went to where he lived, meaning to talk to him and calm him down, but at the last moment thought the better of it and figured he just needed to be alone." Later that day, he apologized and explained, "I'd had an argument with someone else and was worked up. I wasn't in a very good mood when you came by." I accepted his apology. Later, I reflected on how I had dealt with this situation. Not only did I refrain from verbal and physical violence, but also I even recalled the Dharma in the middle of it. I'm not saying this to boast, he said, but I actually surprised myself. The situation could have erupted into violence and trouble, so I was very grateful for the help the Dharma gave me.
There was a paragraph there, Venerable, about his Dharma practice that you skipped there in page 2. Knowing that this could mean trouble.
Oh, yes. Oh, I meant, yeah, sorry. Thank you. Okay, so back up a few paragraphs. Yeah, so we're at the part where the guy had just said, you better get stepping because you're nobody. So the guy who wrote to me said, knowing that this could mean trouble, I went to my room, put on my boots, and prepared as best as I could for whatever he might do. Because really, in prison, the guy could jump you, later somewhere. I relaxed a little and looked back at what happened. I had only spoken to him briefly once or twice before and hadn't done anything to upset him, yet he was obviously irate. I recalled karma, as nothing else seemed to make sense, and thought that I must have created the cause for this to be happening. Yeah, so in the past, I behaved outrageously to somebody else. Now this is coming around to me. I decided he had probably mistaken my question and felt threatened, or maybe he was already upset, or perhaps he had forgotten to take his meds. Reflecting on the 8 verses of thought transformation helped me remain thoughtful and calm. And that's when he said, I wasn't mad at him, although I was prepared to defend myself if necessary. Okay, but it had a good resolution, because he kept calm. Yeah. Okay, we just finished that chapter. Maybe there's comments, questions? Yeah.
I've always been a little puzzled at the top of page 28, Venerable, when you say fortitude does not involve pasting a plastic smile on our face while hatred simmers inside. It involves dissolving the anger energy so that it is no longer there.
Yeah.
Could you give a little bit of a step-by-step? Because
Okay. Well,
I have yet to attain that stage. So is there some secret there?
So this example of the guy, in prison, he could have very easily started to get angry. And he might very well have, or afraid, because he went back to his room and put his boots on. Yeah, and very prepared for a conflict. Yeah. But then when he thought of the 8 verses of thought transformation, okay, like what's verse do you think would?
Whenever a person with negative
Energy and intense suffering. What is that person do?
offering the victory verse.
What?
The offering the victory verse. The offering the victory verse.
Oh, okay, but there's one that talks about offering the victory. Yeah, we recited after.
Jealousy, whenever a person with negative energy and intense suffering.
I shall hold that person precious dear as if they were a precious treasure. Okay, so let's say you practice that one. Yeah, there's first the one about giving the victory, which doesn't mean you're afraid and you capitulate. It just means, why argue about it? Yeah, but here, seeing them as a precious teacher, what are they teaching you? What are they showing you? Yeah, your anger and how easily you get angry. And, for people like me who thought early on when I was younger that I didn't have a problem with anger, my dear macho Italian men in Italy, they were good teachers for me. They showed me, boy, I have anger, and I better do something about it. Okay? So if you see that person, oh, they're showing me my anger. I know that anger isn't good for me. It's not good for me physically, mentally, emotionally, karmically. So they're showing me my anger. Now I know what I need to work on. So rather than get mad at them for showing me that, the problem is mine that I have anger to start with. So I got to work with that. And, thank you for showing that to me. Okay. I find the one with thinking about karma very effective personally, because if I think, oh, I did this kind of behavior to somebody else in a previous life, or even in this life, then why am I upset when somebody acts that way to me? If I think it's okay to act that way to other people, then it should be no problem when other people act that way to me. But I don't really think that. So if it's a problem when they act that way to me, then it's going to be a problem if I act that way to others, which means I have to deal with my anger and clean up my act. Yeah. In other words, stop being a jerk. Other questions, comments? Yeah.
It'd be correct to say that anger is kind of self-centered.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, quite definitely. Yeah. If somebody comes in this room and, criticizes Venerable Sangye, I tell her to chill out. There's no problem. If they say the same things to me, look out. How dare you talk to me that way? Why? It involves me. Self-centered. Yep. I know it's a catastrophe if somebody criticizes you. I'm sorry for not being a very good friend. Other questions, comments? Anything? Yeah?
I'm wondering about the line of where self-control becomes suppression. So, someone comes and criticizes me, and, it's like, okay, don't use harsh words back, so there's that thought, like, okay, I can see the anger, I don't want to use harsh words, that's not beneficial. I know I'm angry. So where is that line? Because in my mind, I think I'm working with it. I don't think I'm suppressing
Well,
it.
that's the same with the person who gets angry and then splits. Yeah, they want to physically and verbally control their behavior, but there's still anger there. Yeah. So that it's the emotional aspect that, the mental aspect that you still need to work with. Yeah. So, not punching somebody or screaming at them, that's a step in the right direction if that's what you used to do. Yeah. But if you just keep doing that, the anger is still going to build up and eat you out from the inside. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's, I don't know, just for me, in the moment, if I can keep my mouth shut, that's a really good thing. And I would only be suppressing, I think, if I didn't then go work on it myself.
If you didn't, what?
Then go back and work on it.
Exactly.
Right, that for me, but it doesn't require going back and working it out with the other person.
No,
Good,
it
yeah.
involves working it out with
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then when it's worked out with yourself and your anger is calm, is pacified, then you can go back to the other person and work out whatever misunderstanding there was. And you may not need to. Exactly. Okay, let's dedicate. Due to this merit, may we soon attain the awakened state of Guru Buddha, that we may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious Bodhi mind, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. And then just one small thing, while you're here, last night with the chanting, with the bell and the drum, it was really beautiful to see so many of you come and chant together with the actual chanter, and learn it and experience that. It's very beautiful.
Thank you, Venerable. Now everyone can please rise. And for those online, please stay tuned. We have a special announcement. Kelly. You can be seated.
Hi. I first discovered the Abbey's teachings when my mother was dying, and I went to live with her and take care of her, and every time she would take a nap, I would look for something Dharma related. Right? And so I was watching all the BBCs and the Thursday and Friday teachings, and on Venerable's website, I would look up things that were really troubling me. It never occurred to me at the time that all of that was free. I didn't have to register, I didn't have to donate, I didn't have to do anything, it was all free. And then I had the good fortune to be able to move out here so I can come to teachings in person, and I realized everything here is from donations. All of the food, all of the supplies, everything. So people, if you come here for a meal, it's all donated food. So I started, whenever I could afford to, donating money or donating items or offering service. And if you are able to, not everyone's able to do that, but if you are able to, there are donation boxes around the Abbey, and on the website, there's a donate button, but there's also a spot that says generosity, where there's, and if I'm wrong about where it's on the website, tell me, okay. There's a list of items that might be needed, like library supplies or just things that are needed around here for working on the land. So if you are inclined, please do that.
Thank you, Kelly. So now we have, I think, about 7-8 minutes before lunch. So the setup team will rearrange the space. So now's a good time to go back to the deck or